Good afternoon. Welcome to the Rotary Passport Club of Minnesota. What we're going to do today is, first let me share my screen and talk about our club. This is the Rotary Passport Club of Minnesota. We're both an online club and also provide the convenience of a meeting at any one of our 35 clubs worldwide. We're probably the most flexible club that you will be a part, that you can be a part of. We are truly Rotary based, the four-way test. We're full Rotary membership. The meetings are 24/7, which means that we have our live meetings usually on Wednesday at noon, but those meetings are recorded, so they are available for you 24/7. So whenever you have 30 minutes of time, you can participate in a Rotary function, a Rotary meeting. You can also attend any one of our 35,000 clubs worldwide. The four things that we focus on is service, networking, leadership, fellowship, and the dues come out to be about 50 cents a day, which is $180 per year. We also focus on the core values of Rotary, and that's diversity, integrity, fellowship, leadership, and service. This is a full Rotary membership, a full Rotary club. So let's talk about what we're going to do today. I'm Lloyd Campbell, and I'd like to welcome you to our noon meeting. What we want to do briefly is just go through our membership list. We have 3 or 4 people who are interested in joining the club. The list that you see is actually the names of the people who were sent in to be chartered. So we are in the process of chartering with those 20 members, and hopefully we will have additional members by the time we charter. Also, we'll just make a couple brief announcements, and then we'll get to our program, which is, I think, is a pretty interesting program concerning Peru. So let's go to, here's our current membership list. And one of the things that we would like to do too, as we advance the club, we talked about this last week, is have probably a 1-minute presentation, video presentation of everyone, to have this in a directory so that we get to know our faces, our voices, and know the people who are in the club. Here are some of the other members here, and that's the number that makes up our 20. Now, as far as announcements, I want to remind you about the Rotary Business Network function that's coming up. And let's go to that website briefly. If you go to, I believe it's rotarybn.org. You can get this information and register for the event. It's at March 16th, 7:30 a.m. to 8:30 p.m. And there is the location. It's in St. Louis Park. Please RSVP so that we have some idea about how many people will be there. This is an opportunity to network with other Rotarians in the district. If you know someone who's interested in becoming a Rotarian, this is a one-time opportunity. They can actually see some of the things we do here at Rotary. There will be a presentation there too, so please drop by. As far as our club is concerned, there are a few things that we still need to do. We've selected our name. We're in the process of doing the finishing up the paperwork. Paperwork has been submitted to Rotary International, and they're in the process of reviewing it and will let us know when we actually officially become charter. We need to select officers and board members so that we can approve our constitution and bylaws. And we also need to work on developing a professional website. Now, we have several people in our organization that's involved in web development, and I would like to maybe get together with them to discuss what we would like for our website to look like. Currently, we have two web providers that are actually being paid for. So currently, it doesn't cost us anything. One is with Club Runner, and the other one is with I can't think, Wild Apricot, I believe. Both have features that we like, and we both have some things that we don't like. But the thing about Wild Apricot is that you can actually take some of their features and combine with Club Runner to make the type of website that you want. This is extremely important because our organization will run from our website. So you will not, after the website is up and going, you will not have to rely on a link to go to the meetings. You just go to the website, log in, and the meetings will either be live or the recordings will be there. So I talk real fast. We have the opportunity today to discuss about what's going on in Peru. This is a map of Peru. We have Jim and Sue Wood with Without Borders International. Said that 2 times, Without Borders International. And what I'm going to do is turn the program over to them and let them discuss what they're doing with their organization. So I'm going to stop my share.
Go back to the front.
There we go. And I'm going to turn it over to Jim and Sue and let them run the show.
All right, thank you, Lloyd.
Can you see us?
Yes, but we're on the screen. We're just figuring. There we go. Hey, there we are. Hi. Hey, we're Jim and Sue Wood. We're with Without Borders International, as Lloyd said. Thanks for having us today. This is kind of a new thing for us to try out and do, but we're very excited. We're in right now currently in Cusco, Peru, at about 11,000 feet. And then we had to walk up 4 flights of stairs. So thankfully we got here early.
Catch our breath.
Anyway, this is what we do. We are serving, empowering, and improving the quality of life of people living with disabilities in Peru. And everybody says, what's your why? You know, why are you doing this? Why Peru? You know, Sue, there's all these other things you could be doing. Why? Well, this is part of my why. These are my sisters, Jenny and Julie. The cute picture one on the left, I have no idea which twin is which. And nobody in my family can agree on who's who, but I do know the ones on the right. That's Jenny on the left and Julie on the right. They are older than I am. And so I have grown up with disabilities all my life. They both have cerebral palsy. They both have an intellectual disability. And Julie on the right is deaf, and Jenny is hard of hearing, and almost now, as she's aging, completely deaf. So I grew up. This is just life for me. You know, this is. I'm very protective of my sisters. It was just kind of the role I took. I'm the one that I learned how to sign and became a sign language interpreter, and did that for many years. But I also saw the struggles that my parents went through and our family went through, being a family, a special needs family. And really, as a child, I craved a community that would accept us as a family, warts and all. And there really wasn't any. And we are a faith-based organization. We are a Christian organization. And I believe that a church should be the place that accepts everyone as they are. And sadly, that wasn't the case of my growing up. And sadly, the case that isn't anywhere in most of the country or the world, actually, the case. But that's my why and what I do. So then you go, okay, why Peru? Well, here's Peru. Jim, you can tell them where we're all about.
Well, you're going to see the dot where that's where we currently are in Cusco. There's a little pin that's Lima. So we are south of the equator. We are right on the Pacific Ocean. Um, just give you some background, Lima, Peru is a city of 11 million people. Cusco in the past decade went from about 50,000 to now 500,000. And when you start talking about, according to the World Health Organization, on average, about 15% of the population has a disability. So when you start talking about Lima, Peru, that's 1.5 million people that have some type of disability. And when you start talking about the deaf community, that's about 500,000 in Lima. So there's a huge population down here of that are basically have no access to, very little access to education, healthcare, and really have a stigma against them. A lot of times the children and people with disabilities are hidden. So part of what we do is actually are trying to find these people and trying to get them plugged in and actually build community.
So almost 20 years ago, I came down to Peru and on a first mission trip, and friendships were made, and a need was seen. I was working with the deaf team and from our church and partnering and working in the deaf community in Peru. And the reality of what their life was like was very shocking, because to me, the picture on the left of Machu Picchu, that's what everybody thinks of when they think of Peru. Oh, this beautiful, historic country. Really, Peru is 4 different countries in one, with the mountains and the jungle and the coast and the highlands. But the reality of most of the people is kind of what you're seeing on the right-hand screen. This is just a typical road that we walk down all the time in outside of Lima. It's still considered Lima. It's like the metropolitan area, kind of up in the foothills of the Andes. This is probably Pachacutec. This is where we go visit the families, because in Peru, if you have a disability, yeah, this is the reality. This is a little girl we met who she can't walk. She needs a wheelchair. We're trying to find her a wheelchair, but they leave her on her bed 24/7 in a room in a very small house, and they don't get her the care that she needs, or they're trying to get her the care that she needs, and it's not available. That's the reality of, I would say, a large percent, more than the majority of Peru. That the disparity between the haves and the have-nots in Peru is shockingly astronomical. So the rich are very rich and the poor are very poor, and there's really very little of a middle class. So we just started making friendships, and in 2012, my husband and I and another couple started Without Borders International. We are a 501c3 based in Minnesota, and our whole goal is to bring down information, resources, encouragement, support, friendship, knowledge. A lot of times they don't even know. I look at them, I say, hey, your child has Down syndrome. Do you know what that means? Do you know what your child can and can't do? And they don't, because it's those kind of services or diagnostic stuff. They just don't have the information. You would think in today's world of the internet that there'd be more, but the reality is that it isn't. So that's so this is our team in Lima. Callao is like a
little suburb of Lima.
A district of Lima, be like Richfield. And this is a team that we've been developing since 2012 of people who have the same heart that we do to reach these families, because it's the family. It's when you have a child with a disability, it affects the whole family. It's not just the child that has needs, it's the moms. And in Peru, the dads leave. Okay, so the divorce rate in the States for a family with a child with special needs is very high. I want to say it's 90%. Don't quote me on that. But from what my experience has been in Peru, it's like 97%. And the difference here is the dads leave and they go find another family and they're gone. At least in the States, there's some financial and other ramifications. But so these families have so many needs. So these This is our team in Callao. We have a meeting every Saturday where I say kids, they're adults with disabilities come with their moms, and a lot of times their nieces or nephews or their aunts and or uncles, whoever, and they come and they have a time of fellowship together and community, and we sing songs. They have a nice meal, and
The moms have time away so the moms can actually talk. And
because they need fellowship, they need community, they need to know. The only one that understands the being a mom of a child with a disability is another mom of a child with a disability, and they are able to create community and support. And when I ask them, you know, why do you like Hasiel? What does this mean to you? Hasiel is the name of our group. They say the moms say it's my family, and the kids say I have friends here. Everybody needs friends. Everybody needs, you know, that cheers thing where Norm walks in the door and everybody yells, Norm, everybody needs that, right? So that's Callao. That's one of our teams that we've been building up. And now here's some of our kids. So that's Angelo and Juanita on the left. Just so lovely. That's the mom and the son. And the thing, and there's some kids playing and dancing on the other side. One of the other really huge concerns of these families is as they're aging, the moms say to me, Sue, what's going to happen to my child when I die? Because they're the ones taking care of them. So I have 75-year-old moms with 50-year-old kids saying, you know, what's going to happen? And it's everywhere I go in Peru. That is usually one of the first things they say to me. You want to talk about the wheelchairs we bring down?
sure. So every time we come down, we actually accept donations of wheelchairs in Minnesota. And by flying Delta, and because of the American Disabilities Act, they can't ask why you're bringing a wheelchair down, particularly like pediatric. It's like, there's no way we're going to fit in a pediatric wheelchair, but we can check them, and we have connections down here to actually get children those wheelchairs. And the nice thing about the connection is we actually take a picture of the person that donated, the family, and then we put a tag on the wheelchair so the family receiving it in Peru knows who donated it. But then we also take a picture of the child here and send it back to the family. And how did you get emotional?
Jim always gets emotional at that one because it is very emotional. It's very touching. These families in Minnesota that have been able to donate their wheelchairs, literally the moms are in tears every time they give me their wheelchair, and they give me a picture of their child in that wheelchair, and I say, you are so impacting a life of a child that you don't even have a clue. Because I don't know if we have on the next one, we have ones of, yeah, so if the middle picture, the mom, so the middle picture of the girl in that big purple stroller, the mom is on the left, she's getting older, the girl is probably, I don't know, 16, 18, she's been carrying her for 18 years. She has never had a wheelchair for her. So that's like one of those kind of heavy duty strollers. We love those too, because in Pachacutec, that area on the right, wheelchairs don't really work. But those strollers work great. And she, although she doesn't look very happy there, she was very happy. But that's kind of the thing. It's just like, if nothing else, I mean, that doesn't really fit her, that chair, but this is what it does, you guys. It sets them up so that they can sit and be a part of the family, right? So they can sit at the dinner table and be a part of what's going on. Otherwise, this young girl laid in bed 24/7 because there was literally nothing else, nowhere, because that's her home. That's where they are. And that's some of their home visits, the family on the left.
The lady on the right in that picture that's got the white sweater on, that's one of the people we partner with. She works up in Pachacutec, and you see the picture on the right. That's the typical house in Pachacutec. And one of the things she does is door knocks. And really, because they hide their children, she just networking, she tries to find where these children are and then start advocating for the children. And actually teaching the moms how to respect and to treat their child with the dignity that they deserve. And so if they get sick, Nikki is her name, we'll actually take them to the hospital and advocate, because typically the moms are fairly not educated, they're poor, and if they go to the hospital, whatever the doctor says, that's what they do. And sadly, the medical situation down here is the doctors would, if they have tuberculosis or pneumonia, they won't treat them. They'll look at them and say, your child's going to die, and they won't even give them penicillin. And so what Nikki does is say, no, 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 you need to treat this child and actually will get the help that they need. There is a medical system down here, socialized medicine, that is fragmented and very difficult to navigate. But once you get plugged in, they actually have, they can get the help, but you have to advocate, because the medical professionals really will not advocate for the child. So
Trying to teach the families to advocate for
Right.
the child. One of the other things we do is we bring down gringos, Americans from the States, and get them out of their comfort zone. This is actually my son, Andrew, helping a man named Dante, trying to color a page. Dante is in a wheelchair, and obviously his hands don't work. With the funny story about this one was, is Andrew, who knows Spanish, is like, Dante, what color do you want? Green? Yes. Red? Yes. Blue? Yes. Anyway, they had a good time. Another part of the thing, because of my background in the deaf world, is reaching the deaf community. So the deaf education down here is non-existent. They have one deaf school in the entire city of Lima. That's sponsored by the government, and it's not good. So when what was the numbers you had? 500,000 deaf.
Right.
One school, there's like, I don't know, 60 kids at this school. So clearly they're not reaching all of them. And so we have just all this huge community of deaf people that are undereducated or not educated at all. Oftentimes I meet young kids who are 10, 12, 13 years old who can't even sign because they've never been taught, because they were born into a hearing family, and the doctor said bring him to a psychologist, and the psychologist said bring him back when he can talk, and he's deaf, so that's never going to happen. But this picture on the left is one of our proudest moments, other than that goofy picture of us, Jim and I, at the back, which is like a little shrine they put up to us. This is at the house of a man that we support, a deaf man. His name is Pedro, and he had, that night we were there, probably 75 deaf adults he's been reaching out to, and he's teaching Bible stories. It's, it's like a Bible study, but it's so much more. It's a 4-hour meeting of community, and how they get up and they help each other, and they're like, hey, it's my son's birthday, and if everybody gave 50 cents, I could buy him a gift. I mean, this one is probably one of my things that I'm the most proud of, is how Pedro has just grown and matured. So that's one thing. Oh, this is, so in the deaf community, because the education is so low and the sign language is difficult, we're teaching a bunch of people to sign Peruvian Sign Language. It is different than American Sign Language, and training them to become interpreters. And here's a lot from one of our groups from a church that have all stepped up and said, hey, we want to learn how to become interpreters. So that's pretty cool too. And now we're growing, and we're taking our team to Cusco. So this was a year ago. Our team came up to Cusco, and we did some outreach up here in the disability community up here in Cusco, actually more of the outlying area of Cusco, kind of in the
Andes.
Yeah, in the little communities of the Quechua speaking people, where if I thought Pachacutec was poor, this was even more poor. So anyway, that's kind of what we're doing. You want to talk about the grant a little bit?
Sure. So we are in the process of applying for an international grant through Rotary, and we are partnering with all of our ministry and stuff that we do down here is working with locals and working with organizations that have feet on the ground here. One of those organizations is called Health Bridges International. It's another nonprofit actually based in Portland, Oregon, but they have a significant presence down here. And what we're trying to do is tap into that medical community, and really we're looking at nurses and building a curriculum to build in some empathy and understanding of the disability world. And that is,
Jim,
I got to share.
unshare your screen. We have, so we can.
There we go.
Okay.
So part of that, the grant is really designed to build a curriculum that we can present to nursing students talking about the disability world, so that when a family comes in or a child is born with a disability, usually the first person that they're coming in contact with is nurses. And so if we can build in some understanding about what disabilities are, what the resources are available, if there are any, and actually we're starting to develop some, and train them to how to interact with families with a disability, to start advocating for them. And so the grant is really built to build an online web-based curriculum that we can share through the colleges around here, the nursing schools, and really start actually sharing throughout Peru, because Lima is a metropolitan city, but once you get outside of Lima, it's a very rural, poor, not a lot of resources. So this curriculum would be a web-based one that anybody can tap into and go through. And so that's kind of like a year-long project of developing the online curriculum, training these 100 nurses, and then kind of doing it before and after. We'll have about 20 families set up as with children with disabilities to be our test group, to test the nurses before they've had the training, test them after they had the training, and then kind of adjust it so that we get a quality training that we hope that really could be used all in Latin America. Anywhere that is a Spanish-speaking country, that's kind of the goal. So we are in the process of writing that grant. Hopefully we can present it next month and start getting, time is done. Start really getting some traction down here, particularly in the medical community, because that's where, you know, we're working with the families after the fact, but we really want them to get the resources and the medical attention that they deserve and that they should be getting. So that's where we're at. We are open if there's any other questions. We know time is we're running a little bit over, but
Yeah, I just have one question, Jim and Sue. Either one of you can answer this. So you're presenting a grant to the International Grants Committee.
mm-hmm.
Okay. What clubs? What I guess Rotary clubs are involved, and how much would it cost for another club to join that grant effort?
Sure. So
I belong to the Coqueto Dassel Club, and we are a member of, Jill maybe can talk to exactly what our clubs are. It's
Hutchinson, Litchfield. There's 5 clubs that
there's 6 clubs in our area now. So Litchfield,
okay.
Coqueto, Dassel, Hutchinson, Gaylord, Glencoe, and then we added Wilmer this year.
Okay.
So as part of this area 9, we each contribute $2,000 to the global grant project each year, and then each club takes the lead 1 year to develop their project, and the rest of them contribute.
Okay.
So that's just where we're at. We have not really solicited for any other funds. We just have not had an opportunity to do that.
But if you're familiar with the grant process, I mean, that ground level is very important, because it starts that doubling factor and matching factor. So again, we're always, that would be one way to look at it, or way to help this process. Again, wheelchairs, we're always trying to connect with wheelchairs, computers, any information that we can get. Well, particularly in Spanish would be nice, but any information about special education, how to
anything really.
anything. I mean, the resources down here are so limited that every time we come down and spend time down here, we carry 50-pound suitcases. We maximize everything so we can bring stuff down and be able to distribute it to the communities that we're working with.
Oh, wow. I really appreciate the work you guys are doing down there. That's
and you're welcome to come down anytime, Lloyd. For anyone. I forgot to talk about, we have a community, a base that we're building that has a bed and breakfast that will be able to host people that do want to come down and see what we're doing, or even just come down to Peru and go on vacation. We have
okay. Yeah, we probably need more information about that. That's like something fantastic to do, especially in the wintertime.
Yes.
It is summer down
It's opposite. So January, it's hot down here.
Okay. Are there any more questions? So I have your contact information, and I will make sure that it goes out with the link to this video so that other club members can know about it. And is there anything else, any advertisement you want to give out before we close the
We'll
meeting?
just put on here that we have, let's see that, we do have a website, so it's wbint.org, so withoutbordersinternational.org. So, and we can up there, we can send that information to you if you want to be able to pass along or tag it on to the video.
Okay.
We're on Facebook and Twitter and all that social media. We're not the greatest at it, but we try to keep up with it.
Okay. That's
Otherwise, yeah, if there's any other questions, they can always contact us. We
We're happy to
have,
share.
we have email, and we always accept donations on PayPal, all that kind of stuff too. So
okay. If you would send me your via email all that contact information, I'll tag it along with the video, so when it goes out,
perfect.
see that too.
Okay.
Listen, I want to thank you very much for taking this time out to tell us about what you're doing in Peru. I mean, it's I'm lost for words for the effort and the work that you're doing down there. I know the effort it takes to do this type of work here in the U.S. And just to do it in Peru is just amazing. Thank you very much again for what you're doing. If we do not have any more questions, I'm going to end this meeting, and we will meet again live this time next week.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for the opportunity.
Okay. Thank you.
All right. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
Bye. Send me that email.
Right now.
Okay.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye.